Mom, I saw Dylan's dad make dinner. Like, actually cook, and it was straight fire. He said it was Blue Apron Assemble and Bake. All the ingredients showed up pre-chopped, and he just laid it out on a baking sheet, and no cap. Dinner was on the table in like 25 minutes. Apparently, it's chef designed, and it has like over 40 grams of protein. That's a lot, right? So maybe we try it. Just saying. You can be the next Dylan's dad. Blue Apron. Get 50% off your first 2 orders plus free shipping with code LISTEN50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Am I right in presuming that you're feeling a bit more cheery about football in general? I'd just like to apologise to you and the listeners for my Marvin the Paranoid Android act last week.
Well, I did call you that, didn't I? Yes, it was all very depressing. And then Tom's internet fell over and your microphone fell over. And then I was unable to actually tweet it out without making mistakes. I tweeted the damn thing out about 5 or 6 times. So cock up all round last week. But we're back and you sound much better. And it's a good job we didn't start recording this one at half time, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, because if we just
chow that was in the first half, but game of 2 halves and all that. Was this a game of 2 halves or what?
We had an email about last week's show. It was titled "After a Long Wait" from Richard Cook. I tried to reply to the email, in which case I wouldn't be reading it out on the show, but the email address didn't work. It says, "After a long wait, this is the content of the episode. Your moaning about Mourinho was like reading the Daily Mail's comment section." I'm pretty sure we didn't say anything racist. At some point, I just skipped 20 minutes ahead to have you get on with it. How about analysing the Liverpool game instead of playing the manager's soap opera game? How do you know we didn't do that in the 20 minutes that you skipped? Anyway, I've listened to you for a long time, but this was one of the worst episodes. Fair enough. I can't disagree entirely with that. Anyway, I tried to reply to Richard. Dear Richard, after a long time without an email, this is one of the worst emails we've ever got from you. It just moans about Paul and Ed moaning about Mourinho. It's like the Daily Mail comment section. How about sending an email analysing a podcast you enjoyed instead of the "this was a bad episode" soap opera? I had to skip a paragraph. I've been getting emails for a long time, but this wasn't a good one. No, but fair enough. I actually highly agree with Richard. That was a terrible episode, but thank you to the people that got in touch to wish me well.
You think about feedback to the populace. I tried replying too. I just wrote sorry, not sorry.
The thing is, I would have done that had I not been actually sorry about the content of last week's episode, because it was particularly miserable. And I don't think I said anything, I haven't listened back, but I don't think I said anything that I would necessarily disagree with this time out. But let's not focus on moaning about us. How was that? That was like watching, Manchester United play football.
Well, yeah. Am I allowed to moan a bit about Mourinho?
Well, that doesn't matter whether you're allowed to or not. 100% you're going to.
Look, I'm going to take this linearly. Mm-hmm. So we start from the team selection. So Mata dropped for Herrera, moved to a 3. Of course, we've talked a lot about moving to a 3 this season in order to get the best out of our best player, Paul Pogba. How it liberates him, perhaps playing 2 defensive midfielders would do that. In fact, we talked on last week's episode about maybe that would mean sacrifice for Mata being sacrificed or whatever. The equation comes down to someone losing out in order to do that. So, I'm not going to. I'm going to sound a bit like a hypocrite for saying, when I looked at the team sheet, I thought, oh fuck, here we go. Here's the Mourinho ball coming up. And it really did feel like that in the first half. United had 30% possession in the first half, apart from about the first 45 seconds or so when we put a few passes together. It was all City. They were just carving us open. It had total control of the game. United didn't have a shot on goal at all. Obviously, City went 2 up. It might be more than that, but for a few spectacular misses. And it was everything we feared. Not only United getting a sound beating by City seemed nailed on to win the title against us in their home ground, and we were really meek. So that's the moaning out of the way. And I don't know whether it's because Mourinho decided to change or there was no choice but to go for it. It felt a bit like the Palace game in that respect, didn't it? You know, no choice but to push forward. And United didn't. All of a sudden, we looked bloody good, you know, and kicked a few blues. And Herrera in the middle of the shithousery as always. But Ashley Young doing a good job on that one too. Got quite a lot of luck with the referee. You know, there's a good shout for a couple of penalties. Haven't gone the other way. And just complete transformation from the Mourinho ball in the first half to, as you say, looking like Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, the first half, you know, until they scored, we didn't look meek. You know, in fact, literally, the moment the goal was going in, I was sending you and Tom a message saying we actually looked quite competent on the ball, and then they scored almost literally as I was typing that. That might have been even the moment the second goal went in. When the second goal went in, they just collapsed, and it was really worrying. And like you said, spectacular misses. I mean, hashtag thank you Raheem. Like Mourinho owes him a bunch of flowers because he had that first chance he had immediately after City had gone 2-0 and Silva slipped him through and he was one-on-one with De Gea, dead centre of the penalty area. That one, you thought, well, at least De Gea's going to have to make a wonder save to make this happen. And you know, we were all preoccupied with the notion of City winning the league against us at their ground. They would have been, I think, the record earliest anyone's ever won the Premier League, which would have been, you know, a bit of a shame. But particularly that the thing that was really hurting by the end of the first half was that United were not just losing to City to give them the league title, but being humiliated by City to give them the league title. And instead, we got our best players totally transform the game. Like, that's the dream, right? Alexis, 10 out of 10 second half from Alexis Sanchez, a player I've been relentlessly critical of and never really wanted at United, but my goodness, did this show what he can bring, especially in how well he linked up with a resurgent and magnificent Paul Pogba.
Yeah, I mean, even so, the second half was the best of Mourinho ball, wasn't it? It was still playing on the break. United did not have much possession, but just very, very effective. I mean, 4 shots on target in total in the game, 3 goals. But this is the archetype of what Mourinho would like to build, and thinks he could, I suppose. And it was great to watch. It's not. I don't know, that's the type of football that Manchester United have seen much of down the years. That sort of, you know, counter-punching style of football as a plan A. But if it brings results like that, of course, everyone's going to be happy. But, you know, a little bit of luck involved as well. Raheem Sterling kept missing and missing and missing. Trevor Noah of The Daily Show says, if anyone ever sends an assassin after me, I hope they send Raheem Sterling. It's like, ouch. He was, of course, very good for England in the international break, Raheem Sterling, and scored over 20 goals this season. So, you know, he's not the player to mock that he once was. He's a very, very fine footballer indeed. No doubt. And we got a bit lucky there.
Yeah, I just looked up the XG, 3.24 to City, 1.24 to Man United, apparently. That's from Paul Carr, that XG. Sterling, 1.15 XG on his 4 shots. The thing about that, though, is although that might indicate that City, with their 20 shots to United 5, deserved the win, this is where, that you wouldn't want to surrender a 2-0 lead at half-time to Man City. Like, the whole thing about statistics in football is what they tell you is what would be likely to happen if this was a repeatable series of circumstances.
It's a model. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, so one thing we did see, so 2 ways Pep's sides have spectacularly fallen apart, especially in the Champions League over the last few years. have either someone presses really high, and it's the kind of gegenpress and heavy metal football style thing that we saw from Liverpool in midweek, or a team plays on the break, and think about his Barcelona side capitulating to Bayern and his Bayern side capitulating to Barcelona, was it? It might have been that way around, or Real, I think it was, and those are the two models, and I guess that's what Mourinho was thinking when he was asked in the press conference before the game, did the Liverpool game teach you anything? Of course, everywhere else was going, yes, absolutely. This is how you beat a City side. You press them high, you put them under pressure, and you relentlessly attack. Don't sit back because you're going to have 20% possession. And he was like, no, and I assume he means he was planning to try playing football on the break, which only happened after the 50th minute. But boy, did it happen then.
And, this was like beyond... This was a beautiful moment of football being beyond any of the rest of the story. So, yep, there is a time for sure for us to discuss, what it means, the big picture and blah, 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 and all that kind of... And, we've talked a lot last week about the big picture and how it's pretty ropey at the moment. But this was an example of football being above and beyond the big picture, because the experience of watching that game will be, will live with all of us for such a long time, because that second half was magnificent. And, from a sort of... Like, Paul Pogba is one of those players who there's been plenty of completely valid criticisms of him. I get very defensive about him because I think some of the criticisms are invalid, and also some of the criticisms are really ugly in their kind of essential origin. But there's no doubt he's been struggling, and he was just wonderful. This was a game he turned on its head. So the first goal, just wonderful play all round. A bit like the first goal against Swansea last week, just really excellent passing and move. Very much a goal City could have scored at the other end. Alexis, really direct. Pogba was talking about, he was interviewed by Thierry Henry in a hastily thrown together segment that was designed to fill the time that they were going to show City winning the league on Sky Sports. But instead, Henry interviewed Pogba and he asked him what he was thinking in that moment. And Pogba said, I know Alexis is direct, so I just thought to break beyond. And because we're playing in a 3, I'm safe to kind of break into the box. And so Alexis... cut the ball across to Ander Herrera, and a moment to mention Ander Herrera's chest pass. Like, Ander Herrera does a good line in chest passes, but that was a chest through ball, which we like to see. That is the kind of thing we like to see. And Pogba's finish, lifting it over the keeper, could easily have kind of hit that along the ground or whatever. Just everything about that goal was brilliantly executed.
Yeah, that's right. Guillaume Balaguer, Duncan Castle's nemesis, says the difference between first and second in the Premier League table is being reflected at the Etihad today, to be honest. Spoke too soon, Guillaume.
Oh, was that at half time?
I'm guessing so, yeah. Look, excellent first goal for United, that is, to get it back to 2-1. Very nice bit of play, which we hadn't seen much of in the final third, had we? Alexis involved, Herrera's chest down, Pogba's nice finish. Even better second goal, though. That header from Pogba is monster. And, talk about the freedom he gets in a 3. It's, and I've had a debate about this with a few people on Twitter, a few friends. And I think a few people have said things like, well, look, he hasn't really performed there. So this is nonsense. But for me, that's not even the argument that he performs better in a 3 or better in a 2 or whatever it is. It's, are you more likely to get the best out of Pogba when he has that freedom and protection behind him, or less likely? And he's the best player in the team. And you want to get the most out of your weapons. It's not like you'd say to Cristiano Ronaldo, well, you're playing down the left side, you better do a bit of defending. An argument Mourinho lost with Ronaldo, by the way. So that for me is it. This is why you make a sacrifice elsewhere on the balance of things to get Pogba into more advanced positions more often.
And then you don't have to make those sacrifices at home against Swansea. You can play him in a 2 and a bunch of attackers, and he can still get forward. Maybe not as much, but plenty. And you don't need him as much, and you kind of keep the rest of your attackers a bit happier. That second goal, I could cry thinking about that second goal. Just it's sort of moving to me. Just he's had so much stick. And like I said, some of it has been completely deserved in a way, although I think there's a pretty solid argument to say there are understandable external reasons for his lack of form. But the ball from Alexis is completely magnificent. So again, quoting Pogba's interview with Henry, he said it's Michael Carrick that's been telling him to make those runs, which is very interesting. Michael Carrick having an influence in coaching. Well, someone's got to coach attacking movement in our team, right? But anyway, Michael Carrick told him to make those runs. Alexis apparently tells him to make those runs because he will see you. That's what Alexis said to Pogba. And then it just worked perfectly. And that's our kind of 2 best players on the pitch. Well, 2 of our 2 best outfield players on the pitch combining. And like you said, the technique for that header, that is, he gets in a brilliant position and it's a brilliant ball, but there's a lot of work left to do. I mean, one of the reasons United's XG was relatively low is because that would not have been a massive XG chance.
Right. Very true. Yeah. A bunch of great tweets from United players, of course, after the game. Play for the shirt. We fight till the end, says Jesse Lingard.
Yeah.
My man, Jesse.
Heck yes.
People like Jesse Lingard these days. Have you noticed that?
I love it. I'm happy to welcome any and all Jesse Lingard bandwagon jumpers.
That's
we
fine.
have room on the bus for all of us.
We accept your apologies as well. Timothy Fosa-Mensah tweets, just a red ball.
Nice.
Very nice. Rio Ferdinand tweets, United. Blood all over his face. I'm not sure it came. Well, it almost came to that because it got a bit tasty, didn't it? During the second half. I mean, Ander Herrera Cowsery is just beautiful. I mean, I'd hate him if he was an opposition player. Obviously. Diving, rolling around, screaming.
At 2-2, I was really thinking about the 3-2 in 2012. December 2012, the Van Persie goal. Because in that game, United had battered City in the first half and were 2-0 up at half-time. Then City had really got back into it to make it 2-2, and then we won in the last minute. So when it was 2-2, I was thinking, oh no, are they going to win in the last minute? Is this going to be like a perfect retribution of the karmic circle? But no, it was not, in fact, because there was more to come from United. And the man who was kind of like embarrassingly bullied for Kompany's goal from the first corner, redemption all over. Chris Smalling, always at his best when he doesn't have to achieve his redemption through defending, with a fine finish.
Yeah, shocking defending for Kompany's goal. I mean, he's with him and he just lets him go.
I mean, Kompany gives him a little, I don't mean like it should have been a foul or anything, but Kompany did very, very well. Like he made a little bit of space, like he shoved Smalling off him at the very beginning of the move and then really kind of out-muscled him. It's not like Smalling wasn't trying, he was just failing.
So yeah, in the build-up to the game, there'd been an absolutely extraordinary press conference with Pep Guardiola and a bunch of bitching on Twitter from journalists complaining about embargoes being broken and other nonsense like that. I was like, this was all over YouTube, mate. Anyway, in which he claimed that Pogba had been offered to City by Mino Raiola and Mkhitaryan, which doesn't surprise us because, Raiola's always after his next payday, isn't he? Pogba tweeted back, say what? And I'm surprised he didn't give that to the crowd today, to be honest.
I mean, he kind of did. He did a little bit of hand-mouth movement when I think they're celebrating the second goal. And then at the end, Guardiola kind of went up to him and he was like talking to him for quite a long time. And then like Pogba was like, yeah, whatever. And then Pogba walked off towards the United crowd and I think kind of pointed back at Guardiola and shook his head. Now I might be a little bit seeing what I want to see here, but then he definitely did a bit of badge tapping. Although I think as he often does, accidentally tapped the Adidas badge instead of the United badge.
Dan Soff on Twitter says, yes, we lost, but can you answer me one question? Why did Alex Ferguson offer me the Manchester United job at half-time? With a picture of Pep Guardiola. Yeah, very good.
That's very funny. Yeah, there was a brilliant moment in the Jeff Shreves interview with Pep Guardiola afterwards where Shreves asked him about the starting 11 and Guardiola just looked at him like deflated and like, oh, this sap still doesn't understand me. And he says, why do you ask me about the starting 11? Are you judging this on the result? Was the performance not good? And, you know, you can see his frustration in that sense because obviously City were more than good enough to win the match for large swathes of that game. I don't think the fact that they didn't have De Bruyne, Aguero, all that kind of stuff, I mean, obviously it had a factor in the game, but they didn't feel like a weakened side, did they? Because really, the vulnerabilities United took advantage of are the ones that are there when they're playing their full-strength team, because they are vulnerable to those defensive flurries, aren't they?
Yeah, look, as with all Mourinho victories, it's won in the detail, not the strategy. So this was a game that United won in the details. You just look at the numbers alone without the goals, and you'd have just assumed City won this comfortably. So United have taken advantage, scored some fine goals, got a bit of luck. Another wonder save from David De Gea. The reflexes on that one, where he tips over the bar, is just ridiculous. But he does that every week, so maybe we shouldn't be surprised at that. So this is. I think I wouldn't want to go too far with this result and say, hey, we're suddenly back in a one-off game. City rattled last week, rested a couple of players. Don't think it was a huge amount of difference, but clearly some key players: Gabriel Jesus, Kevin De Bruyne, and the first half, I guess, is how we probably expected the game to go. And United have hit City on the break and suckered them and won. Not quite as funny as the Arsenal game. But much more enjoyable, obviously, because it was to stop City at their place and to stop them winning the league.
And it showed a degree of character. This is something that I can't even remember if I said this last week, but I definitely thought it halfway through, like one of our 4-hour moans about Mourinho last week. There is something to be said for how much character United have shown recently against Chelsea, against Crystal Palace, against Liverpool to some extent, and definitely against City. There has been remarkable character shown, and the one thing we really have to say about the details is, this whole thing about United against the top six and Mourinho against the top six has to go right out of the window, because this season he's beaten them all. There's no one in the top six that Mourinho hasn't beaten this season. And yeah, we could say, like, if you add up the XG of all of those performances, it does not look great for United, but we won those games. And that
so he scored more goals than the total sum of the XG in all those games. But yeah, Right. No, that's right. Look, he's Mourinho balled it to a few wins, but absolutely, this is his style. We shouldn't be surprised about it. It's the thing with that style is when he isn't Mourinho balling it to victory, it's really deeply ugly, and then he's a really deeply ugly person too, which is kind of a perfect storm of pissing people off. But today, that's exactly what Mourinho wants. Exactly that.
Yeah. So I mean, really, just the most fun I've had watching United all season. That second half. As much fun as any of those 4-0s, more fun than most of them. It is, obviously, it's in large part, this is the reverse situation. This is like, for years we were City season was defined by whether they beat us or not. And it's not that. It was seen that United are still capable of that, or rather are capable of that again. Because like I said right at the beginning of all this, it really did feel like United, that second half. And not just in terms of, okay, it's a comeback and that's almost like a cliche about what United are, but something about the kind of collective belief, the refusal to accept their inevitable fate, the fact that they recovered from that horrible meekness that they displayed in the first half and decided not to kind of shrink into themselves, but to impose themselves and show the quality of football that they're able to produce. And the fact that all three of the goals were really fine goals. it was a very enjoyable half of football, and obviously it was vital to stop. I mean, like vital in terms of the fact that it's very good that we stopped them winning the league in front of our very eyes. But more than anything else, it was just a football match that it was an awful lot of fun to see your team win.
Right, and also, look, praise for the referee as well, Martin Atkinson. Generally, over the years, I've thought he was a complete but today he got it spot on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was really... Like, we were getting a lot of little niggly fouls given to us. And I was like, is this really happening? Are the Premier League trying to just maintain interest for a few more weeks? Is that what's happening here?
Very good. Yeah. Well, that was fun. What does that mean for the title? When does City win it? Because that victory means they can't win it with the next game, can they? Assuming United don't lose at home to West Brom, the worst team in the league.
Yeah, I think that's the situation, because obviously they would have won because it'd have been a 6-point swing in their favour, but instead it's a 6-point swing in our favour, so they've got to wait a couple of weeks to win the league, basically.
Good.
Yeah, that's nice. I just had a look at the league table.
They play Spurs away next, I think. So you never know. Might take it into May. Squeaky bum time could come. They're crumbling. Pep's losing it.
I was on the Full-Time Devils preview of the game this week, and that was a running theme from some members of the panel that, that's City were going to collapse and we were going to win the league. I'm pretty sure it was a joke. Pretty sure.
City have City'd it up. If City managed to lose it from here, it would be even better than the time that they were playing it into the corner at 1-1, thinking they only had to draw to save themselves from relegation.
The thing is, they're not going to lose it from here. But
absolutely not. But, it's the hope that kills you.
Worth a word about the Champions League performance. I have to say I was slightly surprised. Not necessarily surprised that Liverpool could score 3 against them because they just scored 4 the other week. But I was slightly surprised by how effectively Liverpool's defence stopped them creating really big chances, and how City's forwards really just made the wrong decision, or got their final pass slightly wrong a lot in the final third. It was interesting. It was an interesting and surprising game in a lot of ways. I mean, I have to say, I'm not sure I'm totally convinced that tie is dead and buried.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I'm not sure Liverpool can play that way away from home. We'll see. Maybe they will. Pep said before that game that Liverpool have the perfect style to play City, and it is true. It's one of the two styles that Pep teams have struggled against historically. But Liverpool's defence has not been great this season, has it? And it's normally you're able to get at them. And City had a lot of the ball in that one, as you'd expect, and still weren't able to create enough chances. Anyway,
tin pot competition. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. Not interested in that. The FA Cup's where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone knows that.
Oldest tournament in football.
Arsenal know that. And new Arsenal, aka us. Nah, come on. Should we take some Twitter questions? I've got one, actually, that's coming via Facebook from Anonymous, saying that they were too cowardly.
Facebook.
They were saying they were too cowardly to reply to your tweet. But they basically said, imagine if we had a manager at Paul Pogba's level, though.
Ouch. Let's take some questions. Chris Etchingham, 77, friend of the pod. Scouser, obviously feeling bold. What the fuck? Question mark.
If anyone knows that 3 goals past City is entirely achievable in a short space of time, it should be a Liverpool fan, right?
Tarek Amir, Le False number 12, says, who should Mino Raiola tout next? Chris Smalling.
Friend of the site. Yes, get Chris Smalling in Mino Raiola's books. Do we have any other Raiola clients now? No, we've just got one, I think.
It's just Pogba, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Chris Smalling side-footing a volley home from 2 yards out.
Yeah, like I said, Chris Smalling always able to make up for... always more likely to achieve redemption through attack than defence. We've got to upgrade Chris Smalling. Right, we if we want to be really challenging, they had a little good bit of form again for a little bit, but this season as a whole, I think has pretty amply demonstrated that Chris Smalling shouldn't really be heavily involved in Manchester United's future.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Upgrade required, and Perhaps they'll give Mourinho the confidence to let the horses run freely. We'll see. Man United is a hell of a drug, right? Asked James Bonser on Twitter.
James, I couldn't agree more. And also, I hope you're looking forward to WrestleMania. I can't believe Daniel Bryan's coming back.
So a few questions about the. I don't do wrestling, as we've discussed. No, I like proper punchy.
I was sneaking it in for James.
Yeah. We'll have to edit that one out, Tom, I think. Why can't we play like that in the second half more often? Performances like the first half seem too common. Ask Sid Sycamore, Sid4695, Bjorn Y Genius. Bjorn Y Genius? Is that really how? Well, maybe. Is it possible to hire a first half manager? If so, who should it be? Theme here. I mean, I don't know whether United have really performed better in the second half than the first this season, but certainly recently, the Palace game and this game, the complete turnaround in performance after United were down. I mean, is that a thing? Do we need to go down to kick up the backside? Is it the thing that has to spark Mourinho into loosening up the tactics a bit more?
Well, it's interesting because I didn't really have any complaints with that first 11. I mean, that was... I wanted to see a 3 in midfield. I wanted to see 2 giving Pogba the freedom to... I'd rather have seen Pogba as the third man in the midfield than Mata in a 4-2-3-1 with Pogba and Matic in attack, or Pogba dropped, So I was kind of happy under those circumstances. Obviously, I'm always sad if neither Martial nor Rashford's in the starting 11, but other than that, and given the circumstances, Lingard was there. It was, I thought it was a good starting 11. There's just something about, and the first 20 minutes weren't that bad. It was that they kind of completely capitulated when they conceded, which that is not a new thing. That is something that this United side have been doing for a while. It was just really, it's really nice that we've now gone from the point where that capitulation would then continue into the second half to actually we decapitulate. That's not a word.
Well, it is now. You make any word up you like.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I'll come back to this. I don't want to sound like I'm on a downer about this because, I really do think this is a game that was about details, not the overall big picture. I mean, United had something like 240 successful passes. That's probably one of the lowest totals in any game in the league this season. I don't have the data to hand, but it's going to be among the very lowest. And 4 shots on target. This is the essence of Mourinho ball. This is being able to do it from the moments, not the strategy. So, there are loads of good things. United won, scored some fine goals, some great performances from Sanchez and Pogba and others, balancing right in the second half. The spirit of coming back is all great. But, the thing about XG is it is a model. And if you played that game again over and over again, I don't think there's too many times, if you played exactly that game 10 times, that United will win. So, that's why I'm saying I'm not sure I can read too much into that game. It's great, fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Thoroughly enjoyed watching United beat City and City players losing their heads and making City wait for it. But there has to be more for United to actually win a league. And how do you build on performances like that and take that? I'm not sure you can play that way and win a league. When's the last counter-attacking team that won the Premier League? Don't remember one.
I mean, it wasn't it Chelsea 3 seasons ago? Wasn't it Leicester?
Yeah, Leicester. That's
and
true.
Then the season before that,
completely
Chelsea.
Different style of counter-attacking. They were direct. They just went over the top.
Yeah, Chelsea the season before that under Mourinho.
I don't think they're a classic counter-attacking side, that Chelsea side. They were quite dominant.
Fair enough. I haven't seen the numbers. A little shout out to a few people that have emailed in. Paolo Cruz sending a little video clip of Pogba pointing at De Gea and I think saying numero uno after the game and saying thank you. So thank you to Paolo Cruz for sending me that. He said Pogba speaks for all of us, and indeed he does. Shout out to Ryan Lockwood, our friend from Chicago, who says he went to the Chicago City supporters bar for today's match because he went there for the Liverpool match too. So there is some nice correlation, not causation, happening there. And a big shout out to Eric listening to us from Paris. So France, maybe not Paris. I might have assumed that part.
Yeah, bunch of other questions. Taylor Ben says, "Is Manchester red?" Well, it is today. What colour should Paul Pogba dye his hair next? Asks Atishj_J. Any colour he wants.
Yeah, man. Red, though. It would be good to pull out like a real serious red after that one.
Joey Mangini at JoeyM_UX.
Definitely a friend of the show.
Definitely a friend of the show. Says, are Paul's genital warts all cleared up now?
Oh, now, come on.
We don't talk about this on the pod.
The friend of the show status revoked.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Now, come on.
What was better, Mike Smalling's winner or that Bertie woman thinking they'd equalised?
I didn't spot that one.
Yeah,
spot that
one. That's got to be a GIF somewhere. It was quite funny.
The De Gea save, by the way, you've just kind of brushed over it as like we expect that from De Gea. But, I mean, the only reason we expect it from De Gea is there's a literal superhero in our goal, because that was an absolutely outstanding save. And the fact that he is goalkeeper enough that he didn't even push it away, but he got enough, he was quick enough. A goal that most keepers would have been lucky to kind of palm out, he was quick enough to get to and twist over the bar. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, outstanding. But we do see it every week.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
His United's XG against is way higher than it should be. So, or the actual goals we've actually conceded. Yeah, his expected saves is just miles ahead. Anyway. He is brilliant. When we seal the title on the final day, asks Nick Gilbert 86, will this top all our other league successes? Yes.
This would be the best one ever.
And one for me at the end, and this is a bit of a burn, but fair enough given my rant at half time. Who will Jose blame? Ed.
Yes. Yeah, well deserved.
Very good. Have we got a game next week? We have got a game next week, haven't we?
Against West Bromwich Albion. Managerless, rudderless, seriously cut adrift at the bottom of the table. Think giving Alan Pardew the job of manager is a good idea. West Bromwich Albion.
I mean, they got a draw today, so maybe things are on the up. But Alan Pardew.
I mean, he's gone diddly on. Can you imagine? I mean, I'll tell you what, West Bromwich Albion giving him the job was, like, there was a little raft of them, wasn't there? Hodgson, Allardyce, Moyes and Pardew all got the job at the same time. And to me, maybe because of my ridiculous biases and prejudices, I would have said West Ham giving Moyes the job was the worst appointment out of all of those. But really and truly, it was very obviously Pardew getting that gig, because Allardyce is functional. Hodgson has actually had a pretty fine club career, and I'm not sure he belongs in the lumped in with all these dinosaurs bracket. But Pardew is a total joke and should be considered as such. So West Brom giving him the job was mad. What's going to be really mad is imagine now if a Premier League club gives him a job. It's not, the thing about it is it's not inconceivable.
No,
that's what's so amazing.
He's had about 3 wins in the last 60-odd games across 4 clubs or something like that. I'm exaggerating. But so West Brom 10 points away from safety, and they've got 5 games left.
Well, West Brom are 1 and a bit months away from the Championship.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely going down. Unfortunately, we can't relegate them because it's always funny. But yeah, just a terrible decision. The timing's odd, though. I mean, why sack Pardew now? I mean, they would have to win all 5 games and hope that Stoke, Southampton, Palace and Huddersfield do something disastrous. I
believe they sacked loads of their board a few weeks before they sacked Pardew as well. So there's obviously a lot of instability going on at that club.
Yeah. Well, they've got
a
overseas backers, right? Maybe they'll pour the money in, like Wolves, who are going to replace them, West Brom's great rivals.
Oh, that's going to smart, isn't it? That is going to smart. Although, we talk about, artifice in football and Chelsea and City and all that, but Like, has there ever been a greater example of artifice in football than what's happening at Wolves at the moment?
Yeah, right. Oh God, did you see the end of the Wolves Cardiff game?
No, I did not.
I don't watch a lot of Championship football, but I saw all the clips go around. So Cardiff missed 2 penalties in the last couple of minutes. Wolves win 1-0. And Neil Warnock, the Cardiff manager, is thoroughly pissed off and refuses to shake the hand of his counterpart. And not only does that, he turns around going, it's just really classy.
This has got to be a record for beeps for Tom.
It's true. I'm very sorry, Tom.
Keeping him busy.
I've only used the F word, so you only really need to bleep one for everyone to get the idea.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, it does now.
Okay.
So anyway, we were playing these total losers, West Brom, at home.
Yeah.
Which means we'll probably switch it all up and play 5 at the back.
No, what it means is 4-2-3-1 is coming back. It's coming back. I mean, you would imagine maybe just a straight swap Mata, Herrera and the rest of the side is as it is, and except Martial. Although maybe because we've got in quick succession, we've got a game midweek away at Bournemouth, and then another game at the weekend. Is it? It's not the Spurs game, is it? On the weekend after?
Oh yeah, maybe that's on the 21st. Yeah.
Right, so we're playing West Brom, and then hot on the heels of that, so you've got a week then before the semi-final, which is presumably the big. Now that City game's out of the way, the semi-final is the big one. By the way, a thing we didn't mention about that City game is another 3 massive points for United's season.
Oh God, yeah.
Like,
I mean, surely nailed on for the Champions League spots now. With that, can rest players in the next 2 games. Could do that anyway. Must be very, very highly likely to get second, and that will justify a lot of what Mourinho's done, at least in Mourinho's mind, And I don't think he ever really sees the nuances of the any of the criticism. It's not just about results, it's performances too. But for him, that's the platform on which to build. And in his mind, he couldn't possibly have got closer because City have spent so much money and all of that. The truth in that argument, of course, will have to come next season because it cannot be a 16 or 13 point victory next season.
No. So there were 3 big points. So anyway, West Brom game. I mean, we could then see maybe a bit more wholesale changes. Maybe we'll see Lindelof in for Smalling in the back 4. Maybe Luke Shaw will get a game, lol. No, only kidding. But maybe we'd see McTominay instead of Matic, for example, potentially. I think that's unlikely. Matic seems to play every game. But maybe Alexis will be rested and we'll see Rashford or Martial getting a start, which would be really nice.
Yeah, I'm going to guess one of these games. I mean, there's a week to the West Brom game, so... a bit of rest there. One of the Bournemouth, the West Brom game, there'll be some changes and freshen people up. I mean,
but you'd think,
given how badly United played against Spurs at Wembley last time, you want to give yourself every chance.
By the way, I guess we'll talk about this a bit next week, but it really does not seem fair that the neutral venue United are playing Spurs at is the ground that is serving as Spurs' home ground this season. That just seems a bit odd.
Yeah, I know, but for financial reasons, the FA chose Wembley as the semi-final venue a few years back. They needed the income to pay for Wembley.
Yeah, but they've had the income from Spurs all season. This season, they could have cut Villa Park some slack.
Yeah, true. I mean, it is their home ground, but they won't have any more fans there than United. I think. No. Sets of fans are getting about 2,000 tickets or whatever. So back to West Brom. Do they have any decent players? Go on, name one.
Johnny Evans, mate.
Do they
top
have
5
any
in the
decent
world?
Players that don't get shit-faced till 4 a.m?
They've got the greatest professional in the history of association football, Gareth Barry. I mean, he might have got drunk and stolen the taxi, but apart from that,
it's a great story, that one. It's still a great story.
It is. I mean, honestly, it is a good story in that it's hilarious, but also it is indicative of absolutely appalling undercurrents of entitlement.
Yeah, right.
So no, I mean Solomon Rondon is fine he's not like a bad big man up front, is he? Like, he
Well,
could
got
be
6 goals all season, so that suggests he's pretty bad.
I mean, but like, you wouldn't want to be judging a striker based on
goals. No, you definitely wouldn't do that.
No. That, like, I would like to see how many chances how many good chances those 6 goals have come from. But yeah, good players are in, really. I mean, in the summer when they signed Gregor Krikow, the Polish lad. I apologise for that. I just genuinely don't know how to pronounce his name properly. And they got Jay Rodriguez, and it looked like maybe Claudio Jakob's been a fine Premier League defensive midfielder for a long time. So it did look like it was possible that they would do something. I mean, when Pardew's kind of big gambit was to take Daniel Sturridge on loan, and then he got immediately injured in the immediate kind of aftermath of that, that was a little bit unfortunate, wasn't it?
6 goals from 65 shots, Salomon Rondon. I could look up his personal XG if you want, if you're interested.
If you've got time, yeah.
Yeah, well, while we're, you can't do dead air on a podcast, but you can do rambling while clicking around the internet.
And also, you can do dead air because when you've got an incredible producer who cuts it out and makes it sound like we're talking vaguely coherently every week.
Salomon Rondon's XG is 6.33 for the season, so he's on course. Well, hey.
There you go, see? I knew it. I knew Salomon Rondon was all right. I mean, there is an argument, of course, that when a striker's XG is really low, it's partly his own personal responsibility. But no, I think they've been a very bad team all season. It was really funny seeing Pardew at the press conference. So the last press conference I went to was West Brom away. And like that'd be the last one I ever go to. But it was just funny, like, Pardew said the players will have learnt a lot from our post-match team talk, and I just was sat there looking at him like, do you really believe that the players just learnt a lot from your post-match team talk? Because I'm going to call that a long shot, Alan Pardew. And it does not appear that his players have learnt a lot from their post-match team talk that week.
No, would you take Johnny Evans back? £3 million clause in his contract, swapping for Chris Smalling?
100%. 100% Johnny Evans is a better defender than Chris Smalling. Like, I'm not really into personal player versus player arguments, but I don't see how there's really any debate about whether Johnny Evans is better than Chris Smalling or not.
Player versus player argument for you. Whose overhead was better, Rooney Shinner or Cristiano Ronaldo's in midweek?
I mean, I'm having Dimitar Berbatov's over both of them, frankly. Dimitar Berbatov meant exactly what he did.
Keep up and then did it, yeah. Exactly.
I mean, Tom Victor, football writer Tom Victor, did a really nice roundup of the 10 best overhead kicks of all time, and they're all really nice. Ronaldo scored that amazing goal, and then just strolls off I do this every week. It's like, no, you don't, Cristiano Ronaldo. Most of the time when you try that, you sky it, look happy. And then all his mates gathered around him and he did a few laughs and smiles and kind of made himself more human, which was nice. But obviously it's an amazing goal from an excellent player. From one of the top 10 best players of all time, probably.
Right. So after West Brom, Bournemouth, are we previewing that now or next week?
No, I mean, the theory is, just to let the listeners behind the curtain, Ed is flying to the west coast of the States on the Sunday. We've just booked in a time in both of our diaries to record the podcast on the following Monday. The Bournemouth game's on the Wednesday, so it'll depend on whether A, we're able to record as planned, and B, Tom's able to get the show out quickly enough that it'll be ahead of the Bournemouth game. So we could at least touch upon that just so we've covered it in the event that the recording comes out a bit late or on the Tuesday and people don't get a chance to listen. I think the West Brom game, it's so reductive, but I don't see any other way of saying it. This is exactly the kind of game we've been excellent in all season. It's the kind of game we can afford to... I mean, obviously the players can't afford to take it for granted, but it is reasonable to just assume that United are just going to win that game. They're going to totally dominate possession, create tons of chances and score goals. Lukaku hat-trick sort of territory,
Yeah, and all you need to know about Bournemouth is they've got a nice young English manager in Eddie Howe, and then comfortably mid-table.
Yeah, and That one, I mean, the last time I don't remember what has happened since this game, but the thing about Bournemouth, oh yeah, of course, last season Bournemouth away was the first game in the season. Zlatan Ibrahimovic's debut, and he scored that lovely daisy cutter. Mata scored that weird goal with all the bouncing off the players. I think we went 1-0 down and ended up winning 3-1. And it was, it was kind of incongruous surroundings to see Ibrahimovic make his debut. And afterwards, I was in the mix zone, and just all the players walked past all the press. Like literally every United player just completely ignored the press, except for Zlatan, who had an enormous scrum around him. It was kind of cool to see. But then the thing that Bournemouth away really makes you think about is Fellaini's goal off his knees the season before in the game we lost.
Cool. I think we'll get to a podcast next week. Given the time zone differences, I'm sure it'll be possible.
Yeah,
just about. And I guess that wraps up for this week.
Thank you for listening, listeners.
You don't sound like Pat Butcher anymore, or Marvin the Paranoid Robot.
It's amazing the difference a week, and Manchester United winning 3-2 in the derby after being 2-0 behind makes to the general tone of a podcast.
Isn't it just? Almost guarantee that West Brom will win at Old Trafford now.
Nah, come on, predictions.
It's going to be 4-0 FC.
I'm predicting that Shane turns on Daniel Bryan. No, never mind. I'm predicting 2-0 United because we've become 2-0 FC a bit of late.
Yeah, it'll be down to a 10-point gap by the time Spurs take on City in the evening kickoff.
It's Saturday. It's on, ladies and gentlemen. It's on. It's not on. But today was immensely fun. I hope you've enjoyed the show.
Thank you for listening. 7-point gap. No, I'm reading it the wrong way around. City play first. They're going to lose, and there'll be a 10-point gap.
Okay, great. Listeners, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your patience while we were away. Like we said last week, hopefully the schedule should be regular between now and the end of the season. And especially for those of you who back the show, hopefully the fact that there'll be regular podcasts throughout the summer, because we'll do World Cup stuff, and I think we'll probably do some transfer stuff as well. Not going to have too much of a break. We'll have a couple of weeks, obviously. We'll hopefully make up a little bit for how sporadic the show's been this season, because I've been struggling to be able to talk.
All right. And with that, we'll see you next week.
See you next week. The Rankcast is brought to you by the people who choose to back us over at patreon.com/Rankcast. This week, the bonus content for backers at a $5 plus VAT or above level was about iconic United shirt numbers above the number 12.
It was 8 years to the day, yesterday, I think, that Federico Mercado scored that goal against Aston Villa. I had to look it up because everyone was bringing it up on my my timeline. He's scored, since those goals, 32 across 8 seasons for 8 different clubs.
Oh, I mean, a man who certainly did not have the career that anyone thought he was going to
currently
go on to
playing
have.
in Serie B.
Yep, and not the iconic number 27, who is primarily associated with Manchester United. Mad that there is any number in this list that goes to Marouane Fellaini, but it does. Because I'm
not having that. Mikel Silvestre.
Oh,
you know?
All right. I'm going to use your words against you here, Ed. Me and you sat in your old seats in what was not yet the Alex Ferguson stand, watching Man United 2, Newcastle 1. The game Rooney scored that amazing goal in. Newcastle went 1-0 up on that game. And it was at the far end from where we were, so we didn't have a very good view of that goal. And you said, I'll guarantee you anything you like, Mikel Silvestre made the mistake for that. And then we watched it on Match of the Day, and lo and behold, Mikel Silvestre made the mistake for that.
yeah, he always had a mistake in him, but no one could hit a crossfield ball like Mikel Silvestre.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.